Good morning. Welcome to the Prince George's County Board of Elections public demonstration. Today we will be demonstrating the machines that will be used during the election on June 2nd, 2020. I will now turn it over to Michael Colbert to do the demonstration.
Good morning, everybody. Myself and Mark Crosby from the Prince George's County Board of Elections are going to demonstrate how we program the machines that we use for election. We're going to demonstrate how we program those machines with logistic and accuracy to make sure that the machines are working correctly as they should. We have two pieces of equipment we're going to demo today. One is the ballot scanner, which we call the DS200, and then we have the ballot marking device or express vote machine that prints out ballots, and it's also a unit for people that have disabilities, that are visually impaired, or any kind of disabilities that are hearing impaired. They can use that machine to cast their vote. We start by doing a physical inspection of the units first. So Mark is going to do the physical inspection of the DS200, and I'm going to do a physical inspection of the ballot marking device. Now in the physical inspection, what we do is we make sure that the machines don't have any damage, nothing is broken or anything out of the ordinary, because if we do this step first so that we can switch out any machines that we need to put into for our machine precincts. What Mark is doing now is inspecting the ballot transfer bin. The ballot transfer bin catches the ballots that fall down from the scanner into the machine. And he has to make sure that they will transfer into the bin correctly. He makes sure that the doors are open, and then he just locks the door to make sure that it's secure while the ballots fall down in there. We plug up power to the units. The units are powered. They have a power source as well as battery backup. Now, once we finish physically inspecting the units, every machine has to be qualified. Every machine has to be qualified, and what that means is there's a qualification memory stick that we put through every machine. What the qualification memory stick does, it clears and qualifies the machine for the new election that we are going to be loading into the machines. What Mark is doing now, he has his paperwork, he has powered up the unit, and he's getting ready to begin the qualification process for the DS200. This takes some time. The machine has to load up and boot up. And while it's loading up and booting up, he's checking the serial numbers and the tags to make sure that everything is going to the right jurisdiction that we have it set out for. I did the same with the ballot marking device. I just powered it on. It's going to take a few minutes to power up. But once Mark finishes qualifying the DS200, then I will qualify the ballot marking device. Now the machine is printing out a configuration report. It always prints out a configuration report, and the configuration report basically it's like when you boot up your Windows laptop or your computer. All of that information that pops up in the black screen in the beginning, that's what the configuration report is for this. So now Mark is entering the qualification code. Every election, we have a different set of codes, so nothing is ever the same for any election. In the off season, when we program our machines, or we do our preventive maintenance, we have a set of default codes. All right, so for the elections, we cannot have the default codes that's sent out. So what he's putting in now is the new code for the 2020 presidential primary election. And that will clear and initialize the DS200 for the presidential primary 2020. Initialization has completed successfully. Now Mark is going to take out the qualification memory stick. He's going to pass that off to me, and I'm going to qualify the ballot marking device, or express vote. Express vote, we call it a ballot marking device because it does not scan any ballots. It just prints out the accessible ballot to go through the scanner for people that need to vote that way. And while I'm qualifying the ballot marking device, Mark is going to be loading the current presidential primary 2020 election. The same with the qualification stick. The election definition memory stick also has its own specific code, specific to the presidential primary election. A second configuration report is printing out now, and that's letting us know that the election media is loaded successfully. Once that loads, before Mark prints out the zero report, what's going to happen is he's going to go into the administration function and check and make sure that the date and time are correct before we send these machines out. The date and time must be correct for this election. Every election, it must be correct. Also, Mark is checking to make sure that all of the election name, the election date, the qualification code, and a lot of those other logistical settings are correct and specific to this election. He just checked the time is correct. Eastern Standard Time for daylight and daylight savings time is not in effect right now. And now he's exiting out of the administration functions, and he's going to get ready to open the poll and print out the zero report. So he has to put in the code, and then he will print out the zero report. Now I'm finished qualifying the ballot marking device. Now we'll load the election media for the ballot marking device. Now, once Mark opens the poll, the machine will automatically print out a zero report. Now, the zero report, the zero totals report, we print out this is also in the precinct as well. This kind of simulates. We post the zeros to show that the machine is zeros when we start it. It's zeroed out, no votes are cast. We have a select set of test decks that we run through the machine. We'll run those through the machine tabulate the expected number of results, and then I will upload the results to the state server. Once I have everything correct, all of the right numbers and everything, then we'll bring the stick back to the machine, clear it out, and then we'll have zeros. So the goal of logistics and accuracy is to start with zeros, then we have totals, and then we end out, before we send the machines out to the public, then we'll have zeros again. Now in the primary elections, you can only vote the registered party that you are registered for. So in this election, we have Democratic, Republican, and a nonpartisan ballot. So while Mark is running the pre-printed test decks through the DS200, I will be printing out 3 ballot marking device cards, 1 from each selected party. So there'll be 1 Republican ballot that I'll print, 1 Democratic ballot I'll print, and 1 nonpartisan ballot I will print. Mark is going to start scanning the Republican ballots first because we are Republican governor, so we always do the Republicans first. When whoever the governor is registered for, that's what we do first. So on the ballot marking device, there's a formula we use for printing these ballots. We don't just randomly select anything. We always select the first candidate in every race for every ballot. That way it is a consistency all the way across the board. There's no inconsistency with our numbers. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to program the Republican ballot. And what I do, I just vote the first candidate in every race. Once I'm finished making my selections, the ballot activation card will print out. I take my second ballot activation card, and then I will program the Democratic ballot. So Mark has scanned the Republican and nonpartisan ballots. Now he is scanning the Democratic ballots. Now I am programming the ballot for the nonpartisan. Most of the time, the nonpartisan in the primary election is only for school board. So it's only going to be one race that I vote for this card. So while Mark is finishing scanning the Democratic ballots, once he's finished, I will hand him the ballot marking device ballots, and he will scan those in as well. So while Mark is scanning those in, our duty with the ballot marking device is now finished at this point. So what I'll start breaking that down and putting that up. But what we do now, especially with everything that's going on with COVID, and we did this before, but we really make sure we do this now. We have to sanitize everything. Everything must be sanitized before we send it out. So as you can see, we have our mask on. We're trying to keep as much social distancing, 6 to 10 feet, as possible. But inevitably, there are times where we kind of get close to each other, but we do try to practice the most safest cleanliness as we can. So I'm gonna shut this machine down, and you're gonna see me wipe it down with some 99% alcohol, because we gotta sanitize this stuff. We're not playing any games with what's going on with this pandemic. So we take 99% alcohol and a microfiber cleaning cloth, a good amount, and we start from the top and we go work our way down. So I'll use hand sanitizer one more time when I put the machine or the ballot marking device back into its carrying case. And keep in mind, everybody, when we do program these machines, this is one specific precinct right here. So there's a shorter test deck that we use for the smaller precincts. There are only one ballot style for every precinct. So there'll be one Democratic ballot style, one Republican ballot style, and possibly a nonpartisan, depending on geographically where you live. Okay, so basically, once Mark is finished, he's going to do the ballot marking device cards. He's almost finished. One more ballot. And we're good. Now, what's going to happen is Mark will verify the count on the screen that we have the correct number of ballots, of scanned pages. Once we verify that, Mark is going to close out the election. What's happening now, Mark has pressed the close polls button and the machine is tabulating and counting all of the images. It's doing the process, and now it's printing out the totals report. So like I said in the beginning, we always start out with zeros. We scan ballots, we get our expected results. We print those out, and then once that's finished printing, Mark will pass me the memory stick to upload to our state server. So like I was saying earlier, we have every precinct has a specific ballot style, but then when we have early voting, that's where anybody can vote from the state. In the state of Maryland, you can vote. In the county, you can vote at any of those sites. So the machines that go out for early voting have to be programmed for every ballot style. This was just one ballot style. Just imagine what we have to do when we have early voting. We have about 400 sheets of paper we have to run through every machine at your early voting site. Same process on a bigger scale. So Mark has ran the results. The machine is shutting down. We always wait for everything to turn off before we pull this memory stick. It's a very critical step because if we pull this memory stick too early, it's not a good thing. So we always make sure that the machine does what it's doing. It's unloading the election. The power button will go blank. And then once that happens, Mark will hand me the memory stick. Okay, that has happened. Now I'm going to take this memory stick over to the state server. I would upload the results. Stops flashing, that means those results are uploaded. Then I will bring the memory stick back to Mark. Mark will insert the memory stick into the machine. Plug back up to power. And then Mark will reboot the machine. Now earlier I forgot to say, but when Mark unplugged the machine before he tabulated the results, we do that step because these machines run on battery power as well. So we make sure that when before these machines go out to the public, that they can run on battery power. So if there's a power outage in the facility, don't worry, you can still vote because these machines run on battery power. So that was the part when Mark unplugged it. That's what he was doing. He was making sure that the machine can run on battery power. In the event that the polling place loses power, we want to make sure our voters can still get to the polling place and vote. Now these things take some time. It's loading back up, but once it loads back up, we'll verify that everything is correct as it was when it left, and then we will proceed with zeroing out the machine and setting it for election to be ready for the public. Okay, it has popped back up and prompted for the election code. So Mark must put the election code in once again. The machine wants to know that you know that this is who's supposed to be operating this machine. So it's going to ask for the election code again. It's not just going to assume that just because this card was in and loaded before that it's okay to go. No, you have to put that code in every time. Okay, printing another configuration report to let you know all of the logistics that you need to know about the machine. So we check this, and he says data loaded, okay, and a few other things to make sure it's okay that the memory stick is correct and it has votes still on it still. He's going to reopen the poll and go into an administrative function that allow us technicians to clear out the results and set this machine for an election. He has pressed the button to clear the votes, and now the machine is clearing the votes. He now verifies that the public count is back at 0, and you have successfully cleared the voting totals. So now we go to report options, and we print out a 0 totals report to show that this machine has been zeroed out. He's verifying that everything has zeros. And that is the end of the report. Now we replace the paper because this is a very long printout sometimes, and we have to make sure that the paper is changed before we send this machine out, because we don't want the election officials that are working the polls in the morning to have to run out of paper and hamper anything in the process or slow up anything in the process. So we always make sure that the machine has paper in it, and then once he puts the paper in there, he will sanitize the DS200 as well. We try to keep social distancing as much as possible, but like I said, it's hard depending on your job and what you have to do to always maintain that distance, but we try our hardest to practice it as much as possible. 6 to 10 feet at all times. But like I said, if you do happen to become in contact with somebody, just be safe. Try to always keep some hand sanitizer around. Face mask. Like I said, face mask is a must. And also at the polling places, when you go out to vote, please, everybody, bring your hand sanitizer with you, bring your face mask, practice social distancing, stay away, do the best you can, and just be safe. So thanks to everybody. I just want to give a special shout out to everybody during the pandemic that has had something, anybody affected by it, anybody affected by the pandemic that have, lost somebody or, directly affected. All our first responders, y'all doing a great job. We appreciate it. All of the schools, the teachers, the parents for doing Google Classrooms and things like that. Here at the Board of Elections, all of our local Board of Elections, we want to give everybody a big hug, a big virtual hug, big group shout out, all of that. Everybody that's been kind of maintaining and doing with this, because this is new for everybody. It's tough. It's new. This whole process is new. So please, just everybody be safe as best you can. Please. That's going to conclude our public demonstration. We thank you, and everybody be safe, and please get out and vote. Everybody get out and vote.